Good morning, friends. Today we are going to talk about screen time. Have you ever found yourself needing just a hot second or maybe like 10 minutes to do something that you can't do with kids, or just that they're making it really tough to get stuff done? So you're like, okay, I'm going to put them down in front of the screen, the iPod, the iPad, something. But then you're thinking, how do I do that safely? How do I know what they're watching and that it's something that I'm okay with? Today we're going to talk about screen time and how we do that around here, how we do it safely, and just what that looks like. So stay tuned and we're going to jump right in. So what are some of the reasons that you might consider screen time for your kids? Well, I'll tell you what that looks like around my house. It's usually when I'm trying to cook food. I try to meal plan as much as possible, but there are inevitably going to be some days where I'm trying to do dinner and I've got the 1-year-old who's weaving in between my legs, or she's taking out every single pot and pan, or she's trying to rip the other cabinets open, much to her great distress that she can't, and it's difficult to get dinner cooked. Or if I have to call the insurance company, or if I've got to make a phone call that I need quiet for a few minutes. So I'm sure we can all think of situations where it's like, okay, I just need a few minutes. So screen time becomes one of the plausible scenarios where you can get that quiet time. Now, I'm definitely a firm believer in limiting screen time for babies and for young kids. But as your kids get older, like in the case of my 5-year-old, I'm actually totally fine with her watching certain things. There's shows that I actually really like, and I think that it's great that she watches them. And we'll talk about some of the favorites a little bit later on, but I also am not going to let her just sit in front of the TV all day long, because that's not good for anybody. She needs to get out and run and play and get dirty and all that. But anyway, back to the topic. When it comes time for screen time, how do we figure out what to let them watch? And yes, I do let my 1-year-old watch a little bit of screen time when I'm trying to cook dinner, and I don't feel bad. So there. But we do have some criteria. We have certain things that we're saying, okay, this is important to us. And so we've got certain criteria that we have set for our baby and for our 5-year-old. And that kind of helps me, it helps me get past any little bit of mom guilt that I might be feeling for putting my kids in front of the screen for doing something like cooking dinner, God forbid. The 3 criteria that we have kind of figured out, and this is definitely not in any particular order from most important to least important, but our 3 criteria is: number 1, is it educational? There's a lot of stuff out there, and there are a ton of shows that are just fluff, and that's okay. Some of the fluff is fun, but if I'm going to let my kids sit in front of the screen for a little while, or if I'm going to let her go in her room and watch a show or 2, I would way rather it be something educational where she's learning something about the world, or she's learning something about bugs or trees, or something about colors and shapes and numbers, because there's a lot of shows that make that stuff really fun and that are really well done. So I would way rather her be watching something like that than fluff. Number 2 is violence and adult type themes, smoking, drinking, those types of things. And then number 3 is any sort of sexual theme. Now, the reason for those might be obvious, but maybe not. I want to have those discussions with my 5-year-old. I don't want her to learn about things like that from a show, from a video, because that's something that I'd like to speak into her life first, because whether we know it or not, the first person who speaks into a child's life on something like that has the most authority. They're going to come back to what you said, and that's what's going to be true in their mind, especially if it's coming from someone like their mom or their dad, who is like the authority in their mind. I would way rather me be the one to put those, to talk about how we handle those things in our family and our beliefs and our morals and our family, versus her learning about it from some TV show and then me trying to think, well, where did you get that? I would prefer to be the one talking to her about those things. Now, as she gets older, I know that there will likely be things where she might see something and I'm like, but that's a different story. She's 5, so I have the ultimate control right now over what she's putting into her brain. So speaking of shows, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the shows that my 5-year-old really likes, and then also some of the shows that my 1-year-old seems to just love. She gets this big smile and she starts to bob up and down with her little chubby legs, and so I wanted to share some of those with you. And we'll start with the 1-year-old. There is a YouTube channel. It's called Little Baby Bum, and she loves it. The colors are nice. The pictures of the little kids, and there's a little star, and it twinkles and it smiles, and she just sits and grins at it and smiles and giggles, and so she really likes that, and it's very, very well done. I have never seen anything, and I am, trust me when I tell you, I have watched every single one 4 times, maybe 5. I have never seen anything where I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. The Little Baby Bum is fantastic. It's mostly just nursery rhymes with really pretty animation, and pretty colors, and she really likes that one. So definitely Little Baby Bum. There's several other channels that my 1-year-old really likes as well, and we're going to go ahead and do a playlist for her, and we'll also put some of the links in the description below, so if you want to check them out you can. And also, as you look at Little Baby Bum, a lot of these are going to pop up as suggested. Just a side note, a few years ago when my oldest was my youngest, her pediatrician told me one thing to be really careful about with little ones when they're watching the screen, because I think she was a realist in the sense that it's gonna happen. I mean, they're going to see the screen, unless you're just really, 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 really careful. But one thing she said was just make sure they're not watching anything with flickering, like a strobe or anything like that, because it can harm their eyes, behind their eyes, the cones and something or other. But anyway, I have done no more research than basically what she told me. I trust her in that, and so no strobe lights, no rave videos for the babies. So anyway, Little Baby Bum doesn't have any of that. But yeah, check out our playlists for those, and then also below for the links for Little Baby Bum. Now, moving into our 5-year-old, her tastes obviously have grown a bit and matured, and some of her favorites, her favorite thing actually right now is a show called Wild Kratts, and I think it's a PBS show. They have a YouTube channel. They've got, actually, if you have Amazon Prime, you can watch 1, 2, and 10, the seasons, and they're free. They're part of your Amazon subscription. I'm not getting paid for this. I'm just really excited. Anyway, she's loving Wild Kratts, and so you can watch that on YouTube as well. They have, like I said, they have their own channel, and it's educational, but it's also cartoonish for those of you who haven't seen it. But it's basically covering things like animals and our planet, and it talks about, there is a little bit of mild peril, as some would describe it, but it's one of those where there's always the happy ending. They work it out. That's kind of where I'm going right now. Those are the themes that I'm looking for. If there's difficulties, here's how we work them out. These are the things, because she's building these skills right now as a little young budding kindergartner. These are the things that she's faced with, like how do we work our way through situations. So Wild Kratts is one. Another favorite, which has actually been a favorite for a few years, is Octonauts. For those of you who have older kids in that age range, 3 to 5, if you haven't seen Octonauts, please just watch it. You will be happy you did. It's a great little show. And then Curious George has been a favorite, but there's a few other favorites, and we'll also do a playlist for the 5-year-old, and we'll put some links below as well. But those are just a few of the things that we are letting our 1-year-old and our 5-year-old watch. I feel like they're safe. I feel comfortable being in the other room while they're in here watching those things, not worrying about what might be getting slipped into my kid's brain, or not worried about what's coming into their eyes. And so those are some of the favorites. We're going to wrap it up. We would love for you to check out our Facebook page. It's just the KT Files. We also have a blog. It's familylifeandlove.org. And we would also love it if you would consider becoming a subscriber. We do videos every week, and we've got over 55 videos about family and kiddos and just kind of what life looks like for us. I do videos mostly on what's happening in our life at the time. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for joining. Hope you have a great rest of the day. And if you have any suggestions, great suggestions for things for 5-year-olds to watch, let us know in the comments below. Have a good day.